Hello, and welcome to the Citadel Graduate College's virtual webinar series. The Citadel Graduate College has been operating here in Charleston at the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina, for over 50 years. The Citadel Graduate College offers graduate and transfer programs in various fields through online and evening classes to accommodate working professionals. The webinar series is designed to provide students with clear insight into our academic programs directly from key campus leaders, such as our provosts, school deans, as well as professors, support staff, and students. The Citadel produces principled leaders under the core values of honor, duty, and respect. Stay tuned throughout this series to see yourself on this journey. The education provided by the Citadel is incredibly well respected in the academic community. The Citadel serves as the #1 public college in the South and the #1 best public college for veterans in the South, and we are proud to serve students from all walks of life. Today, I have the honor and privilege of working alongside and introducing Dr. Janelle Sawyer, our program coordinator for the Masters of Arts in Psychology Clinical Counseling Program. Dr. Sawyer will be discussing course offerings, opportunities here at the Citadel, and the program at large. Dr. Sawyer?
Thank you. Well, I'm really happy to be with you all today. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself. So I am a clinical psychologist, and I've been here at the Citadel now for 13 years and have been the program coordinator for 7 of those years. And love my job and really value very much the opportunity to not only be with you all today, but to really be a critical part of this program and to train folks who really want to help meet the mental health needs of the community. So I can talk for a long time about this program, so I'm going to try to share with you, some of the key details, and then would be happy to answer questions that you all have today, or for you all to reach out to me individually to make sure that I can address your questions. So one of the things that I think is just important to acknowledge is the fact of the high need for counselors, not only here in South Carolina, but all over the country. As I'm sure you all have probably heard, whether it be in the news or through other ways, your jobs or other just interests that you have, is that mental health needs are not decreasing. In fact, they have been increasing tremendously over the last few years. Particularly since COVID. They were already on the rise before then. And there is no anticipation that that is going to dissipate in the near future. In fact, that need keeps seemingly to increase. And South Carolina is a state that in reality is not in the top of the country in terms of really providing easy access to folks for mental health care. So not only are there a need for counselors and mental health professionals across the country, but particularly here in South Carolina. And so because of all of these trends, people are really projecting that the area of counseling is one where there's going to be tremendous growth. And we see that, with our folks, that when people are graduating, I'm sending constantly out job and employment opportunities. Our folks do not have issues not only obtaining field placements. Again, we have too many field placements. We can't place, we don't have enough students to fill the need for internship and practicum opportunities. And then we're constantly getting emails about job opportunities. So this is an area of growth for sure. And so if you really, again, are passionate about this, this is a great area for employment opportunities moving forward. So I put this up here because, again, I think the words that are highlighted really accentuate the things that we think are critical and an important part of our training. So we really want to help prepare people to be able to competently provide care when they graduate. So I always tell folks that while there are opportunities for sure within our program to gain things like research experience or other opportunities, that our program is really designed and geared for folks who want to be able to just practice when they graduate. So we are not specifically designed from a curriculum standpoint to be a stepping stone to a doctoral program. We definitely have folks that do that, and that is something that can be accomplished. But our primary goal is so that folks, when they graduate, can be competent providers from an ethical standpoint, from a multicultural standpoint, and be able to really engage and use evidence-based and evidence-informed practice. There's a lot of information out there that suggests how we can best help people, and we want to help students understand that, as well as be able to know what to do moving forward to continue to stay informed, so that they can really, again, best help meet the needs and especially not cause harm to any individuals in any way, shape, or form that they may be working with. So as you all probably have some degree of awareness, the curriculum is really designed to prepare people to become mental health counselors. And the field of mental health can be very confusing because there's a lot of different licenses and a lot of different terminology. So at least in the state of South Carolina, our graduates will become licensed professional counselors, or LPCs. That is a common term that is used in other states, but there are also some other things, licensed mental health counselor, LMHCs. So again, different states have different names, but across the board, the requirements are generally somewhat similar. And so our folks have been successful in obtaining licensure, not only in South Carolina, but in really many other states around the country. And the other thing that I want to point out is that we are an accredited program, and we are accredited by the Masters in Psychology and Counseling Accreditation Council. We have been accredited again for over 20 years at this point. We just were reaccredited last year, so we are accredited through 2030. And again, we are accredited through MPCAC, really because it best meets and fills what is consistent with our mission, again, which is based in evidence-based practice and based in really understanding psychological principles as being kind of the root and the grounding force for providing people training. I've certainly alluded to some of these things already, but these are some of the highlights that we always want to, encourage folks for why they may be interested in and choose our program. Is we get consistent feedback, from others, whether that be people in the community or people where our students are engaged through practicum or internship, or where their employers are, that our students are much better prepared, not only when they go into practicum and internship, but at employment levels than students from other programs. And we hear that consistently and across the board. And so again, we are very confident in our training and our training model, which I'll talk a little bit about more here momentarily. But because of that and that reputation that we have, again, our folks do not have difficulty obtaining employment or obtaining field placement. And so we've got a lot of relationships with folks all around, the Tri-County area, but folks will also sometimes leave the state for internship, or certainly go into other areas of South Carolina where they may eventually want to kind of land as a job. So we've had folks go to Greenville or Clemson, go to Columbia, go to many other places, and successfully navigate that process there. So again, we've had folks that when they graduate, they have no issues with obtaining licensure or employment. And then we are also, one of the things that's been lovely to see since I've been here for 13 years is to see people grow, and not only just, personally, but also professionally. So see people rise in kind of the ranks of their places of employment. We've had graduates who've been on task forces, by the governor with various things, and do other and be engaged in many different levels. So again, our hope is that you will not only provide practice and competent practice to individuals, but that you will also be an advocate for the profession and advocate for the people that you serve. So just again, some highlights in terms of the program. We are an in-person program. It is something that we very much value. And I know there are plenty of programs out there that are online. We really feel that it is important to gain connection with our students, to get to know them personally, and to be able to provide that in-person practice, training, feedback. So you can't hide if you're in this program. We get to know you really well, and really value that relationship. And which is kind of below. I always tell students, once you're mine forever. And so we stay really involved with folks throughout, even when they graduate. I think I have 4 lunches set up in the next month with folks that have graduated anywhere between 10 years ago and a year or a year and a half ago. So it's a constant part of who we are. We do alumni events each semester, kind of happy hour type things with getting folks together. We bring alumni into our classes to talk about their experiences post-graduation. So again, we really see our job not only as training you for the few years that you're with us, but we want to be a part of your professional growth and experience moving forward as well. We have really designed the program to be set up for individuals who are going to need to work in some capacity. So the majority of our folks work, if not full-time, part-time, and classes again are in the afternoon and evening. So classes are Monday through Thursday, and they either run from 4 to 6:45 or from 7 to 9:45. Folks typically take 2 to 3 classes a semester, again, depending upon kind of what they have going on in their lives, how many other responsibilities they have, how much they're working, that type of thing. But we really recognize that anymore, it's hard for people to be a graduate student and not have some source of income and employment. And so we do our best to help make students have a unique experience that's flexible. You have an advisor that will help you kind of go through the program at the pace that works best for you. So it is not a set schedule, meaning it's not a kind of the cohort model where everyone takes the exact same classes at the same time, that you really figure out what works best for you. So most commonly, people will be in the program for 3 years. It can take longer for some folks. It's hard to make it much shorter, but the average student will complete it in 3 years. And again, we have a wide variety of field placement experiences that students can access here locally, depending upon your interest, whether it be kid focused, whether it be trauma focused, whether it be addiction or substance use focused, college counseling centers, some group practices, things at MUSC. We've got the burn behavioral health unit, women's center, a lot of different options and opportunities for folks that psychologists maybe being your supervisor or LPCs being your supervisor. So again, folks do not struggle to find placements. It's usually more of a challenge of figuring out where do I think I would like to go and get some experience. So this gives you kind of a sense of how we break up the program. So it is a 60 credit hour program that is dictated by accreditation and by licensure. At this point in time, the vast majority of states require 60 credit hours. So you will notice that is a lot more hours than a lot of other master's programs. A lot of other master's programs are around 30 hours. This does not fall into that. So when people say what you should be able to complete a master's in a year and a half, not here because it's 60 hours. So we divide the program up into what we call different blocks. And so the core courses, that block 1 is really going to be a lot of your foundational courses where you're going to be getting a lot of the content and knowledge that you need in order to basically move on to the advanced classes, which are much more skill building, where you're going to be doing a lot more actually practicing in terms of role plays. It's where you will learn interventions. It's where you will learn, again, kind of the skills of really doing a more nuanced interview with folks. And so how you would conduct group therapy. So those are the advanced courses. So usually the block 1 takes people about a year and a half. And then the advanced courses is, relatively about another half year. And then the block 3, the field placement experiences, is 1 year. So practicum is designed to be 1 semester. And then internship is designed to be 2 semesters. So I mentioned before that many of our students are employed and maybe employed full-time. It becomes harder to be employed full-time when you're in that last year, because most field placement experiences are open the same hours as a lot of people's places of employment. So, so you can definitely still work typically part-time. So practicum, folks are usually at their practicum site about 15 hours a week. Folks are usually at their internship site about 20 to 25 hours a week. So again, it is still possible to remain employed to some degree, but a lot harder to remain employed in a full-time capacity. And you'll see under block 1 that it mentions a comprehensive exam. And so the basic idea behind that is that in order to move into advanced courses, you need to demonstrate knowledge of those 10 foundational courses. So we do have an exam that folks have to take to, again, be able to demonstrate that competency at that point. And then there's a few other courses and some opportunities for electives, again, that folks can take to really kind of, hone and meet their interests. One of the things that I do always like to point out, because it is unique, I've literally never seen it at another program around the country, is these 1-credit courses that we offer. And 1-credit courses are, because they're 1 credit, they're oftentimes able to be done in what we call a workshop format, so 2 full days. So it may be a Friday and a Saturday, and they're usually done a lot of times by people in the community who are experts in a certain topic. And we will usually do workshops on one specific type of evidence-based treatment, or somewhere where, again, the knowledge of the expertise of the faculty may be a little more lacking, and we're going to pulse them in because there's interests in it among students. So, for instance, one of our faculty members here does each summer a training in something called cognitive processing therapy, which is for trauma. So if people are interested in trauma, you get a 2-day workshop on that. We've got people from MUSC who come over and give workshops on, again, a specific treatment that is of interest that they're an expert in. We had someone in the fall who come in and did more work on eating disorders, because again, that's not an area of focus for any of the 5 of us that are faculty members. So again, it's another way to just kind of get exposure to topics, or a more in-depth exposure to topics than we can do within the regular curriculum. And like I said, we really try to pull in experts from the community for touch points for that. So I know Max is going to be talking through a little bit more about the admissions process and how you will go about it, but I did want to put information up here about our admissions requirements. So you're going to notice that some of these have phrasing of minimum or preferred minimum. So the idea really being that we do not exclude, we look at the whole applicant. So if someone has below a 3.0 undergrad GPA, we will still review their application. We will look at it. We do recommend, though, in that case, because the GPA is the only indication we have of academic potential. And so we do recommend that you take either the GRE or an MAT to strengthen your application, because that will give us more information, again, about your academic potential. We want folks to have some degree of a background in psychology. So there's that 9 credit hours that we ask for, so that people, again, have some base level of knowledge. And then the 2 letters of recommendation and a personal statement. And again, part of that is really us wanting to get a sense for who you are, the experiences and the opportunities that you have had. I always tell folks that every single person who applies to the program, we know cares about people and is a really good person. So we're needing additional information than the fact that you really want to help people and you want to be, and that you're a great person, because that's probably a given from our standpoint. So we get more applications than folks we can admit. So we're really needing to kind of find out some things that may be unique about you, some experiences that you've had. We encourage folks to step outside of themselves and to really get volunteer experience, or if you've been in undergrad, research experience, or just something that shows, again, an interest in the field and people and individuals outside of yourself, because that's who you will be, again, working with. So I did want to put information up here again. Please do not hesitate to email me if you have additional information, and then the program website, as well as I strongly encourage you guys, if this is something you want to do, is check out information on licensure within the state, what it means to be a licensed professional counselor and that process. You all should certainly be informed about the thing, about the field that you want to enter. But again, happy to answer questions at the end of this presentation, and more than happy to chat with people individually if that would be beneficial to them. So thank you all. Appreciate your time.
Dr. Sawyer, thank you so much for your time, for your knowledge and experience and expertise on the field and the program at large. Really excited to do this webinar series, because what we have the opportunity to do is that down the road, we'll have multiple webinars in which this series will be showcasing and highlighting the phenomenal programs here at the Graduate College, such as our clinical counseling program. Now, to transition out of the program-specific details, and this section is not only for students that are actually on the webinar right now, but for all prospective students that are watching this in the future, the how to apply is very important because we want to ensure that students are lined up for success, and that begins with the application, submitting the correct application, but further, all the correct documents and materials that are needed to ensure that you are in fact reviewed by the committee and may ensure that your application is considered for the program. So the big thing that I want to highlight here for the webinar series is that it is crucial and imperative to select and create an account for the right classification of student. For our evening undergraduate students, they would choose the evening undergrad or online account. For our active duty and veteran students, they would choose the active duty veteran student account. And then, of course, for our graduate level students, creating a graduate account is very crucial to the success, as it will then allow you to apply to A, the correct program, and B, the correct entry terms / semesters. Now, segueing into that, once you create an account, you'll then be able to create a new application. When creating a new application, you'll then be able to select A, the program, and as I mentioned earlier, B, the correct semester that you want to enter the program. So for certain programs throughout the webinar series, the certain programs have specific entry terms. So, for example, on the application for our clinical counseling program, this program has an entry term, again, on the application of the summer, and then on the application, an entry term of the spring. Now, on the application, there won't be an entry term for the fall, and of course, that's built into the application model and profile, but it's important to be cognizant of those entry terms and when students are able to start, at least application-wise. When you go through the application, that initial section of the application is going to be your basic and general information, your name, date of birth, academic history, academic interests, etc. Now, when a student submits their application, you'll be submitting just the paper application in which we are collecting your data, your information as an applicant. Again, name, academic history, academic program of interest. What you won't be submitting in that initial time you hit the submit button are going to be all of your supplemental items. So for our clinical counseling program, as Dr. Sawyer alluded to, that's going to be an academic questionnaire. That's going to be your letters of recommendation. Those items will be submitted after you hit the submit button on the application. They're not one of the same. They are two separate items that you need to submit. And we like to clarify that for students, as a lot of students get to that final point where they're about to hit this application submission, but they realize that there's no documents attached. That's completely fine. That's how we proceed through this process. And then what will take place is this screen that you see right here will then pop up. It'll appear, and you'll then choose your file, and you'll be able to insert the proper file for the proper document that needs to be submitted. Now, after you've submitted the correct material items and the application, you'll be able to check on the status of not just the overall application, but also the status of the supplemental items. So being able to check upon where you are in the pipeline, as well as if your documents have been received, your own individual application profile and portal will reflect which documents have and have not been received. Now, on that note, it's always good, and we always encourage students to contact the Graduate College if you have any questions regarding a transcript, letters of recommendation, academic questionnaire, whatever that might be. Please feel free to contact us as we work as liaisons between the students and each department and committee to ensure that students are prepared and ready to be reviewed by the departments. Now, I also want to touch upon for the students currently in the webinar and all students in the future, we have no intention of changing this promo code, but the promo code is GODOGS. It'll waive the $40 application fee. If you are yet to hit submit on that application, please be my guest, be our guest, and use that promo code to waive that application. And that's a great way to just proceed through this progress and ensure that you're aligned well for the dates and times of your program of interest. Upcoming in the webinar series, in Thursday, February 23rd of the year 2023, we'll have military history and then so forth with the School of Business Leadership Studies, the School of Education, as well as Intelligence and Security Studies. We look forward to continuing this webinar series as my colleagues and the CGC staff are working hard to promote all graduate level programs here at the Citadel. We work collectively as a team. As you can see here that the students with last name and then the alphabet, we do break down students by alphabet here at the Graduate College, but we also have specific individuals that are attached to programs or the lead point of contact for programs. I, of course, hence why I'm working with Dr. Sawyer, work alongside her as the CGC representative for the clinical counseling program. But we look forward to working with all students, regardless of the program that they're interested in, and ensuring that they have the possibilities of continuing their education here at the Citadel Graduate College. I wanted to say thank you. We are so grateful for your time, whether you're listening to this live or whether you're listening to this in the future. We are so grateful for your time and for your attention, and we look forward to working with you as we move towards your application process and continuing your education. Thank you.